Alright, so computers and how they work. So everything that's electronic nowadays usually has like computer components. This could be from the phone, which I'm using as a stopwatch, Melissa's camcorder, or the laptop that's over there. Now, all computers usually function in the same way. They all have a few basic components, especially desktop and laptop computers. The one thing that everything plugs into is called the motherboard. Everything plugs into the motherboard. Let me repeat that. Everything plugs into the motherboard. Now, class, what does everything plug into?
The motherboard.
You're wrong. The monitor doesn't plug into the motherboard. You're wrong. So everything plugs into the motherboard because it's pretty much what everything plugs into. There's also the power supply. Now, guess what the power supply does?
Supplies power?
Exactly. The power supply is usually, if you're in a desktop, it's usually like a box with like a fan on it. And that's the grill of the fan.
We have one of those.
Yeah, if you open up your desktop, which we probably don't have at the school because the school uses Macs, you'll see a big honking power supply with a bunch of wires going into it, and that's the power supply. Now, if you have a laptop, you probably all know what a power supply is. It's the thing that plugs into the wall. Now onto the most important part of the computer, your CPU. CPU stands for the Central Processing Unit. Guess what the processor does?
It processes information.
Exactly. This isn't that complicated. The processor is shaped kind of like this. This isn't to scale. And it has a bunch of things coming out of it, and you plug it into the motherboard, and it does all the processing for you. Now, onto RAM. RAM stands for Random Access Memory, and it's called memory, not space. Memory. Memory. Just remember, it's called memory. Memory is what most people think computer chips are shaped like. They're like little black squares, and you have a bunch of them, and they're on a little card, and you plug them into your motherboard. And they pretty much store temporary information. It's like when you open up your web browser, or when something you're viewing on screen, it's usually stored in the RAM. Now, the hard drive kind of looks like the power supply, but a lot smaller. Now, don't call the space on your hard drive memory. Never call it memory. It is not called memory. I can't put any more emphasis. Don't call it memory. It's not called memory. That's memory. This square is memory. This larger square is space. It's called hard drive space, not memory. I can't put any more emphasis on it. Your hard drive obviously stores a lot of information. Essentially, an iPod is essentially just a very large hard drive, or a small one that stores a lot of space. Now, what am I missing? Oh yes, graphics cards. Now, if your computer doesn't suck, which is probably going to be not true because, if your computer doesn't suck, it has an awesome G-Fix X25 24X graphics card with like over 20 gigs of RAM inside of it and all this other crap that comes out of it. It also probably requires the power of 3 nuclear plants and its ability to churn out graphics that look better than real life. And the graphics card processes graphics. Now, if you use your computer for anything but work, and you use it for important things like video games, your graphics card renders the video games. And it takes a lot of load off of your CPU, which, if your computer sucks, puts all the load on there and makes your computer run like crap. So that's pretty much everything, excluding the CD drive, but I think everyone knows what the CD drive is, right?
Yeah.
It looks a lot like a hard drive, except it has a slot in you with the CDs. That is all.